Most Japanese cars never come close to 600,000 miles, and here's the part that should bother you. Almost none of the reasons have anything to do with the car. The engine in your Camry, your Accord, your CX-5, that engine was built to run nearly forever. Toyota, Honda, Mazda, they figured out how to make a four-cylinder outlast 3 car loans decades ago. So why does the average one get scrapped somewhere around 200,000? I've torn down more of these engines past 300,000 miles than I can count, and I'll tell you exactly what I've learned standing over them. The ones that made it weren't luckier. They weren't driven gentler by some careful little old lady. They were just protected from a handful of specific things that the people you pay to maintain your car have no incentive to mention. Because that factory maintenance schedule in your glove box, it was never written to get you to 600,000 miles. It was written to get you comfortably past the warranty and into the showroom for your next one. That's the business. A car that dies at a reasonable age sells more cars than one that refuses to quit. I'm going to give you 9 habits that actually get a Japanese car to 600,000 miles without a major repair. Real ones in the order they matter. And the one at number 1 is going to surprise you because it has nothing to do with the engine, nothing to do with any fluid, and it costs you almost nothing. It's the part of the car you have never once looked at. And it's the thing that quietly ends more of these cars than every engine problem combined. Let's start the count. Number 9, your cooling system. This is the quiet killer at the top of the list, and it's the one almost nobody takes seriously until it's far too late. Your coolant isn't just there to keep the engine from overheating. It carries a package of corrosion inhibitors, additives that keep the inside of your engine from slowly eating itself alive. Here's what they don't put on the bottle. Those additives wear out. Long before the coolant looks dirty, the protection inside it is gone. And the moment it's gone, the acids start working on your water pump, your radiator, and the one component you never want to hear about, your head gasket. I've pulled the front covers off engines where the coolant was original from the factory at 140,000 miles. The owner was proud of that, never had to touch it. And inside, the passages were furred with corrosion and the water pump was weeping, 3 months from a failure that takes the whole engine with it. A coolant change is one of the cheapest services on the menu. A head gasket job on most of these runs $2,000 to $3,000 in the average shop, and more if the heads come off and need work. You change the coolant on the schedule in the manual, not when it looks bad. By the time it looks bad, the damage is already done. Number 8, your transmission fluid. Now I want you to do something most people never do. Actually look at your transmission fluid and smell it. Healthy fluid is clean and red or pink, and it smells faintly sweet. When it turns brown and smells burnt, that's not old fluid. That's fluid that has already been cooking, and every mile after that is taking life off the transmission. Here's the trap. A lot of these cars get sold with the idea that the fluid is good for the life of the vehicle, and it technically is, if your definition of the vehicle's life is the warranty period. Past that, untouched fluid is one of the most common reasons a perfectly good Japanese car gets junked for a problem that was never the engine's fault. I had 2 Accords come through the same month, both right around 120,000. One had its fluid drained and refilled every 30,000 miles religiously. It shifted like new. The other had never been touched. Original fluid, brown as coffee. That one was slipping on the upshift and was maybe a season away from a rebuild that runs $3,000 to $5,000 depending on where you live. Same car, same miles. One owner did a $40 drain and fill a few times. The other trusted the brochure. On a higher mileage car, you want simple drain and fills, done a few times, not one aggressive high-pressure flush. Keep the fluid clean and red, and your transmission will quietly outlast almost everything else on the car. Number 7, your brake fluid. Let me ask you something directly. When was the last time anyone touched your brake fluid? Not your brake pads, the fluid. If you can't remember, or if the honest answer is never, then you already have your answer about what condition it's in. Brake fluid has a strange property most drivers have no idea about. It absorbs moisture right out of the air, a little more every year. That water does 2 things, both bad. It lowers the temperature at which your brakes can fail under hard use, and it sits inside your brake lines and ABS unit, quietly corroding parts from the inside. And here's where it gets expensive. Pads and rotors are routine, but a corroded ABS module, the computer-controlled heart of your braking system, can run well into 4 figures, while a brake fluid flush costs less than a tank of gas. Quick thing for the comments because I'm curious where everyone stands. Tell me below how many miles are on your car right now and whether you've ever had the brake fluid changed. I read these, and I think the answers are going to tell a story. You flush the brake fluid every 3 years or so, regardless of mileage. It's one of the most overlooked services there is, and on the path to 600,000 miles, it's not optional. Number 6, your spark plugs. People think of spark plugs as a tune-up item from their Father's Day, something you barely think about anymore. And the long-life iridium plugs in modern Japanese engines really can go 100,000 miles or more. The problem is people hear long life and think never. When a plug wears past its limit, it doesn't just quietly fade, it starts misfiring. Unburned fuel washes down into the cylinder, raw fuel gets dumped into the exhaust, and now you're cooking the most expensive emissions part on the car while you stress the ignition coils trying to compensate. A mail carrier outside Kansas City brought me a 2013 Corolla that had started running rough on her route. She'd been told it was probably nothing, just give it time. By the time it reached me, the worn plugs had taken out a coil and cooked the catalytic converter, and what should have been a pocket change set of plugs had turned into a repair running from several $100s to past $1,000. A set of plugs at the right interval is one of the cheapest insurance policies on this whole list. You replace them at the mileage in your manual. Not never, not when it starts running bad, but on schedule before the misfire ever starts. Number 5. The first 3 minutes. This one costs you absolutely nothing, and it might be the single most powerful habit on this entire list. It's all in how you treat the car in the first few minutes after a cold start. When your engine has been sitting overnight, most of the oil has drained back down into the pan. For the first several seconds after you turn the key, the top of the engine is running on whatever thin film is left behind, while the oil pump races to get pressure back up to the valve train. Here's what most people never understand. The vast majority of the wear your engine will ever suffer happens in those cold minutes, not out on the highway when everything is hot and flowing. And what you do right then decides everything. I've had the valve covers off hundreds of these engines, and I can tell within seconds which ones were driven gently when cold and which ones were started and immediately stood on. The gently treated cam lobes look almost machine new at 200,000 miles. The ones that got revved hard cold are scored and tired by half that. The fix is free, and it's simple. Start the car, give it maybe 30 seconds, then drive away gently. No hard acceleration, no high RPM, until the temperature gauge has come up off the bottom. You're not babying it for the sake of it. You're letting the oil get where it needs to be before you ask the engine to work. Do that every single morning, and you've added years to the engine for the price of a little patience. Number 4, the fuel you put in it. Now, I'm not here to tell you to buy the most expensive gas in town. I'm telling you to buy the right gas. And there is a real, measurable difference. This isn't a marketing story. Not all gasoline is the same. There's a standard called top tier, and it requires a much higher level of detergent additives than the government minimum. It's not some fuel company's slogan. It was created and is backed by the automakers themselves, Toyota and Honda among them. The same companies that built your engine helped write the standard for the fuel that protects it. That should tell you something. And the numbers are not subtle. The American Automobile Association ran an independent lab study, and they found that gasoline, which did not meet the top-tier standard, left 19 times more deposits inside the engine than fuel that did. After just 4,000 miles of testing, 19 times. Those deposits build up on your intake valves and injectors like plaque. And on the newer direct injection engines in cars built in the last decade, they're especially hard to clean out once they form. They cause rough, idle, hesitation, lost fuel economy, and eventually a cleaning bill you never needed. Now stretch that across the path to 600,000 miles, and you understand the stakes. The difference between the right fuel and the wrong fuel is about 3 cents a gallon. The difference inside the engine, over that kind of distance, is enormous. You look for the top-tier label at the pump, and you make it a habit. It's one of the easiest decisions on this list, and it pays you back for the entire life of the car. Quick reminder while you're here. If these are saving you money and saving your engine, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button right now. It costs you nothing, it helps us keep making these, and it means the next person standing at a service counter walks in knowing better. That's the whole point of what we do here. Number 3, your engine and transmission mounts. This is one almost no shop will ever bring up on its own, and it quietly destroys far more than people realize. Your engine and transmission don't bolt straight to the frame. They sit on rubber mounts designed to absorb all that motion and vibration. Over the years, that rubber dries out, cracks, and collapses. And once it does, the entire powertrain starts rocking and slamming around far more than it should every time you accelerate or brake. Here's the part that costs you. That extra motion doesn't just feel bad. It transmits shock straight into everything connected to the engine. Your exhaust, your brackets, your hoses, and lines. And it accelerates wear on parts that should have lasted the life of the car. A delivery driver near Spokane brought me a 2014 RAV4 with a clunk on acceleration he'd been ignoring for the better part of a year. A collapsed mount had let the engine rock so hard it had cracked a flex section in the exhaust and broken a bracket clean off. A worn mount is a few $100s to put right. By the time he came in, it had snowballed into a repair several times that. A mount is cheap and it's a known wear item. You have it checked whenever the car is up on a lift, and you replace it the moment it's gone soft. Keep the powertrain sitting still where it belongs, and you protect a dozen other things you'd never connect to it. And that's the thread running through this whole list. The cars that reach 600,000 miles are the ones where somebody caught the small, cheap thing before it became the big, expensive one. Which brings us right to the edge of number one, because the single biggest thing ending these cars isn't under the hood at all. It's underneath the car, in a place you have never once thought to look. Number two, one shop that knows your car. Before we get to number one, let me ask you the honest question. Who actually knows your car? Not which dealership is closest. Not which quick lube has the shortest line on a Saturday. I mean, is there a single mechanic anywhere who knows your car's history, who has seen it more than once, who would notice if something looked different this time than it did last time? For most people, the answer is no, and that's exactly how the system is built to work. When you bounce between a dealer this year, a chain quick lube the next, and whoever's running a coupon after that, nobody owns the relationship. Nobody's watching the patterns. Every one of them is meeting your car for the first time, so every one of them does the same thing. Runs through the upsell sheet and sends you on your way. Nobody connects the small weep they saw last spring to the failure that shows up next winter, because nobody was there for both. The cars that go the distance almost always have one thing in common. There's one honest, independent shop, one mechanic, who has watched that car for years and treats it a little like their own. That person catches the things a schedule never will, because they remember. So find that shop before you need it. Keep your records in one place, every service, every date, every mileage, so the full story travels with the car. That history is worth more than any single repair on this list. But here's the truth, even the best mechanic in the world can't save you from. He's looking at your engine, your brakes, your fluids. The thing that ends most of these cars is somewhere he's not looking unless you ask. And it's the very thing waiting for us at number one. Number one, the rust you never look at. Here it is. The single biggest reason Japanese cars with perfectly good engines get sent to the scrapyard. It isn't the engine. It isn't the transmission. It's rust, and specifically, the rust eating the underside of your car while you stare at the shiny paint on top. Think about what we just spent this whole list protecting. The cooling system, the transmission, the spark plugs, all of it in service of an engine that genuinely wants to run to 600,000 miles and beyond. And none of it matters one bit if the body and frame underneath rot out from beneath that engine first. That's the cruel joke of it. The Japanese engineered the mechanical side to last almost forever. The metal it all bolts to was never given the same gift. A building contractor outside Buffalo brought me a 2011 Tacoma he loved, and I'll never forget it. The engine was flawless, strong, quiet, didn't burn a drop. But years of road salt had been chewing the frame and the underbody, unwashed, untreated, every winter. By the time the rot showed itself, it was structural. A truck with a perfect drivetrain, the kind of engine you build a whole video around, written off completely. Not because of anything under the hood, but because of what was happening underneath where nobody ever looked. And here's what should make you angry. This is the most preventable thing on the entire list, and it's nearly free. In the months when the roads are salted and the slush is flying, you wash the underside of your car. Not just the paint, the underside. A lot of automatic washes offer an undercarriage spray for a couple of dollars, and on the worst weeks, you can do it yourself in the driveway with a hose. Knock the salt off before it sits and works all winter. If you live where they salt heavily, having the underbody professionally treated once is some of the best money you'll ever spend on a car you intend to keep. That's it. That's the thing at number one. The fanciest engine maintenance in the world means nothing if the car dissolves out from under it, and almost nobody thinks to fight the one enemy that's free to beat. So there's your list. 9 habits, and not one of them requires you to be a mechanic. Coolant, transmission fluid, brake fluid, plugs, the way you drive it cold, the fuel you choose, the mounts, one shop that knows your car, and the rust underneath. Do those, and 600,000 miles stops being a fantasy and becomes a maintenance plan. Now, before you go, there's something you need to know. Even when you do everything right, a car will still try to warn you before a major repair hits. It gives you signals, small ones, weeks or months ahead of time, and almost every driver misses them completely. I made a whole video on the exact early warning signs your Japanese car is about to need a big repair so you can catch it while it's still cheap. It's on the screen right now. Click it, and I'll see you over there.